One way to think of OpenMP is multi-threading made simple and easy. And the background is that it was developed by a group of people, programmers and computer scientists mainly, who thought that it was difficult to use the raw pthreads library when writing large-scale high-performance programs. So they started work on trying to make things simple and easier for writing such parallel programs. So they started to define what became known as the OpenMP specification in the spirit of making it easier to write parallel programs, in the sense that you write programs in the usual way, the way you write sequential programs, and you add some additional instructions for the OpenMP system, which basically interacts with your compiler. And the OpenMP mechanisms behind the scene would automatically generate executable code which would have parallel processing, which means it would automatically create threads, and you would have a program with multi-threading which has the capability to exploit the power of multi-core processors. OpenMP does require compiler support, and almost all major C compilers out there would be able to understand and work with OpenMP instructions inside your programs. But as a general rule, whenever you are doing any kind of parallel programming, you have to be more aware of your underlying system as well as the compilers you are using. And one of the nice attractions mentioned quickly over here is that OpenMP can almost automatically parallelize for loops for you, which is nice because you would have your for loop written in the conventional way, the sequential way, but behind the scenes there would be multi-threading used to speed up the execution of the for loop. For example, let's say that you have a for loop which has 1000 iterations, and if automatically all the iterations are opened up and executed by a collection of 4 threads, that would mean that each thread would execute 250 out of the total 1000 iterations, and all threads are executing in parallel. So you would have the for loop complete in roughly 1/4 of the time. So in terms of the programming language features, OpenMP is uh, based on what is known as directives-based shared memory API. And this means that you will have certain instructions, preprocessor instructions for the compilers known as pragmas, which will be also included along with your usual programming statements. And these directives, these instructions, these lines would instruct the compiler on how to parallelize a given chunk of code. The nice thing is that if you are using a compiler on some system that cannot understand those pragmas, the compiler will simply ignore them. It will not lead to an error. That means you write one program, if the compiler supports parallel programming, you would have a parallelized executable file generated. If the compiler does not support and does not understand those directives, it would still work but generate a conventional sequentially executing file. A sequentially executing file or executable means that it will be only able to run on a single core